Good morning, children. Today we are going to see Biology Chapter 2 Microorganisms, a Friend and Foe. So, already we discussed in this chapter what are the different groups of microorganisms and their structures. So, today we are going to see the benefits of microorganism. Okay. The first one is the microorganisms are used in the preparation of curd, bread, cake, alcohol, cheese, pickles, wine, and vinegar. So, with the help of the microorganisms only, these items which are all used in our daily life is prepared. Let us take the example of curd. How is the curd prepared? We take the milk and allow it to cool down, and we add few drops of curd to it in the previous night. The next day morning, the milk is converted into curd. How is this made possible? This is because of the presence of the bacteria lactobacillus. The lactobacillus is a bacterium which helps in converting the milk to a curd. So what is actually happening there? This bacteria will start to multiply in the leftover time and it converts the milk into curd. Understood? Next, let us see the examples of how the bread and cakes are made. We know that the cakes and breads are soft and fluffy. Yes or no? This is because they add an ingredient called yeast. Yeast is a bacteria which is added as a food ingredient while preparing or while baking cakes and bread. So why is it added? To give us the fluffy nature of the bread and cakes. So what does the yeast do so that the cakes are fluffy? The yeast multiplies rapidly and produces carbon dioxide. We know that carbon dioxide is a gas. The gas bubbles fill the volume and it makes the bread and cakes to be soft and fluffy. Understood? So yeast is also a bacteria which helps in making the bread and cakes fluffy. That is, they they multiply rapidly and produces the carbon dioxide. That gas bubbles are going to occupy the space and fill the volume. Understood? The next one, alcohol and wine preparation. Alcohol and wine are prepared again by using the yeast. When you take sugar and yeast and mix it together and leave it for 4 to 5 hours, alcohol is prepared. You do one thing. Take a cup and pour some water. Add a few spoons of sugar to it and add yeast to it. Mix them well and keep it in a warm place and leave it aside for 4 to 5 hours. Don't forget to close the cup and keep. Tightly close it and keep. Okay. After 4 to 5 hours, if you open the cup, you can smell the liquid. That is nothing but the alcoholic smell. So did you notice here that the yeast is used again in the preparation of alcohol? So it is a bacteria which helps us in preparing alcohol and wine. So now a famous person called Louis Pasteur in 1857 found out that yeast is used to convert the sugars into alcohol. Did we think that the sugar can be converted into alcohol? No, right? So he is the person who found that by adding yeast to the sugar, it can be converted into alcohol. And he named the process of converting sugar into alcohol as fermentation. Okay, it is a very important one. Fermentation means you are going to convert the normal sugar into alcohol by adding yeast. And it was found out by Louis Pasteur in 1857. So in this chapter you have the names of many biologists and the year also. Okay, so kindly keep this in your mind. It is going to be asked for your 1 marks. So the preparation of alcohol, preparation of cakes and preparation of curd from milk are all the commercial uses of microorganisms, that is the benefits of microorganisms to human beings. And next let us move to the medicinal uses of microorganisms. How are the humans benefited in the medical field by using microorganisms? The first one is your antibiotics. Antibiotic is nothing but the tablets which we take in whenever we suffer from any disease. So what is the use of taking medicine? The tablets? So yes, we take tablets to kill the disease caused by the microorganisms. Yes, so all the tablets and the medicines which we take is also prepared from the microorganisms. They have the source or the origins of microorganisms in the medicines. So the medicines which are all prepared from the microorganisms are used to kill the disease causing microorganisms. Okay, so example is polio. Polio is a disease caused by the virus polio virus. So we have seen many camps are assigned by the government to give the polio drops to the newborn babies. Yes, so the drops of the polio medicine will again have a microorganism to kill the polio virus. Understood? So if it is of fever, it is also caused by microorganisms. The tablets we are taking to get cured from the fever has the origin of some other microorganisms which has the capacity to kill the fever causing microorganism. Understood? Like nowadays we use the tablets like streptomycin, tetracycline, erythromycin. So these are all the medicines which are all obtained. Okay, the next uses of medicines, microorganisms in medicinal uses, antibiotics used to disinfect animals and reduce the diseases in plants. So the antibiotics is also useful to the animals and plants. The next antibiotic is your penicillin. Penicillin is an antibiotic derived from fungi. Here, the first person who discovered penicillin as an antibiotic was Alexander Fleming in 1929. So he was actually growing some bacteria in his laboratory, okay, for some other purpose. But he noticed that some kind of a mold of fungi in the test tube in which the culture was growing. The meaning of culture is growth of microorganisms in a particular situation and the environment. The growth of microorganisms as a culture you would learn in your higher classes. So culture means nothing but the growth of microorganisms. Actually, he was growing bacteria in a culture, and due to the presence of some eaten food item, the fungi obtained from the food item was spreaded on the floor. Okay, so it has a capacity to destroy or kill the bacteria. So that made him to discover the penicillin. So a fungi is actually a microorganism. It itself is a microorganism, but it has the ability to kill the other bacteria. So with that only the antibioticism principle started. So antibiotic is nothing but using microorganisms itself to kill the other microorganisms. So penicillin is an antibiotic derived from fungi. But penicillin is not effective against cold and flu because cold and flu are caused by viruses. So how are the viruses controlled in a human body? Vaccine. Okay, so vaccine for some deadly diseases like cholera, tuberculosis, smallpox, hepatitis are given to the humans from the childhood age itself. So once a baby is born, for the first until the 1 year gets completed, the doctor asks them to come for certain vaccinations. So what is the purpose of vaccination? What happens when we vaccinate? Vaccination will allow the antibiotics to remain in the body, okay, and used whenever needed. So when by the use of vaccination, the antibiotic will get stored in the human body. We know that the normal fever and cold will get cured by within 7 days because of the immune power. The body itself has the power to destroy the microorganisms, that is called as our immunity. But some deadly viruses and microorganisms cannot be killed by the nature immunity power. So that is why we are artificially injecting the antibiotics and let it to remain in the body and use it whenever it is being affected by the deadly microorganisms. Okay, so Edward Jenner was the person in 1798 itself. Think about the century, okay, 17th century itself, he found the vaccination for smallpox. Because in that, like how we have the pandemic now, coronavirus, similar way in 17th century, many deadly diseases were coming. One of the thing is smallpox, and hundreds of people were dying because of it. So he found the vaccination for smallpox in 1798. And polio drops. Polio drops is again a vaccination to protect the children from polio. It is given as drops for the newborn babies. The next example of microorganisms to increase the soil fertility. Soil fertility, this you have already learnt in your grade 7 itself, that how does the plant enrich the nutrition for them. How is the plant receiving nitrogen as a nutrient? With the help of the nitrogen fixers. They are the rhizobium bacteria and blue-green algae. They share the symbiotic relationship and they convert the atmospheric nitrogen, which is present as the gases, okay, they convert it in the soil, along in the roots of the plant. The bacteria would be present. They convert the atmospheric nitrogen into the usable nitrogen to the plant as a nutrient. Okay, and the last benefit of the microorganism which we are going to discuss is about the cleaning the environment. We know that the organic waste are decomposed with the help of microorganisms. That was your last activity for term 1, that the organic waste would decompose and inorganic waste would not decompose. How it is getting decomposed? Who is doing the work of decomposition there? That is the bacteria. Okay, so the microorganisms which decompose will produce some stinky smell on the waste. So when it is left just like that in the atmosphere, in the environment, it would lead to diseases. To avoid that, what are we doing? We are collecting such kind of decomposed organic waste, that is nothing but our organic manure, and we are using it in the field for growth of the plants, which is having a very high nutrition enrichment for the plants. Yes or no? So the decomposed organic waste which has a stinky smell will again be used by the plants as a organic manure. So the microorganisms is again beneficial to the nature. Okay, so this is what the benefits of microorganisms. The next class we can see the harmful effects of microorganisms. Thank you, children.